G'day, welcome back to another week of Blokes and Their Balls. What are we now? Episode 9, boys?
Yes, sir.
Episode 009, we're here in the studio. Little evening sesh. That's right, we're changing it up. Hopefully a little bit more energy. We'll shoot in early mornings and it was getting a little bit rough and dusty there for a minute. But it's good to be here. Big week of sport, exciting week of sport for me personally. A lot of my teams are winning. But I want to introduce the hosts to my left and my right. Obviously the resident sports guy, I have a lot to talk about. We call him the Undertaker. We call him Wellsies. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Jed Wells.
Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, feeling a lot more lively now. It's not 7 a.m.
Feels good. And then to my left, your right, the right-hand man have a lot to talk about. He calls himself the Crystal Ball. He believes that the messages speak to him. And ladies and gentlemen, get ready to be introduced to Mr. Duffman Duffy, a.k.a. Liam Duffy.
Good evening, boys. Good evening, girls. Can't talk.
Had
a tough day, but I'm glad to be
here.
Tough day
at work. Duff, knock knock, respectfully to Duff, because
MVP of the show.
The man's been working today. He's been up in Sydney on site, rocked up, bit of paint still on the shorts. Probably not a fit of the day contender, but it's good to have him here.
Maybe next week.
The only member of the pod that does any real physical labour. If you notice, all our hands, me and Brad would be very, very soft, I reckon.
But our minds. Our minds have been working hard. It's good to be back, boys. Obviously, a big week in sport. It always is at the moment. It seems like there's so much happening week on week. Except for last week. Last week was flat.
Yeah. Bit of middle of leagues, but just felt like there was no energy in it. But
yeah.
I reckon we're ramping up. We're not quite at the peak of all sports going on, but we're getting right on the edge there. We got all the American ones kicking off.
Yeah.
The Aussie ones are happening on the off-season. They're itching to get going. So... yeah, new time of day doing it. Bit of a new run sheet. We put our heads together, tried to sharpen it up a bit, make it a bit more entertaining. Hopefully a little bit shorter for you guys so you're not sitting through a feature-length film.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's start it off. We're going to do plays of the week, but we're going to try and keep it real short, 15 seconds on the clock each. You deliver it, we leave it. Brad, you're the odd one out this week, so why don't you start off with your play of the week?
Rams, big second half to win against the Jags. Easy competition, but we needed it. We needed a change in the momentum, and Matt Stafford, OBJ, Jefferson, Cup, they all combined beautifully for a Rams win.
They did. Cup was looking very good too. He set some record. And
I think the most receiving yards in that many games early in the season, I think in history or something like that.
Yeah, impressive.
Week by week he's just getting another one, isn't he?
Yeah, just records on records.
And then me and Duffy have actually joined forces to share our play of the week, so I think we get 30 seconds to talk about it. You lead off, mate.
Got Sam Kerr's shoulder charge. And the little pitch invader, a little bit of a tosser there. She drops her shoulder, hardest hit I've ever seen in soccer. Ultimate
respect. An actual someone that's not flopping on the field, someone delivering some real force. Shout out to Andrew Simon, obviously giving her the blessing for being an Aussie athlete to take down strikers. But if you're going to do that stupid shit, that's what you deserve.
100%. But also, respect given to the streaker. Got straight back up.
Absolutely not.
Blindsided?
No chance. No chance.
No chance.
All right, let's get into it. So we're going to split it up by sport. We'll start off with basketball because that's what obviously everyone comes here for, I think.
We hope.
But in the NBA, starting off with one that happened today, actually, the Houston Rockets got their 7th win in a row, meaning they're now 7-0, coming right off the back of an 0-14 stretch. The first time an NBA team has ever had both of those stretches in any point, and they're right after each other. What's happening in Houston, boys? What's in the water?
That's really interesting. I actually didn't know that. Obviously Houston's not a team that I've watched all that much, probably because they were 0-14, But to go 7 in a row, I don't know, what's their competition been like? Has it been
not terrible
balanced or
to win 7? Like, you're gonna face a mixed bag. Like, there's not that many terrible teams, and especially when you are the worst. You were the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
Any team's a formidable opponent.
They got some youth there, don't they?
They got a good young core. They got the second pick in Jalen Green.
Yeah.
Kevin Porter Jr.'s coming along really good, but yeah, they're looking fun. I think they're really finding their feet a bit.
Do you think it's just taken 14 games to build a bit of momentum?
It's probably a bit of everything because they're so young. They're learning to play together. Some of them are learning to play just at all in the NBA.
Yeah. Maybe the Houston Rockets are like us in the morning. Takes a couple minutes to get moving,
I don't know how far this will go. Like, I don't see them being a playoff team by any stretch of the imagination, but yeah, it's just exciting to see them doing well. You want teams doing well. Like, you look at teams like the Thunder, who are just embarrassing, or Detroit, who have got Cade and no one else really. like, basketball's more fun when everyone's competitive. I understand not everyone can be, like, it's not feasible, but...
And it's good for the fans as well, to have something to cheer for. You like to see a team that might have had no hope, really, and then the fans get behind them, they go 7-0, just build it up.
Definitely. And they had a rough last couple of seasons. Like, they had some talent there that didn't go to plan.
Yeah.
And I think, it's nice to see, obviously, youth getting the job done now. So hopefully 7-0 doesn't turn back in the other direction and they can keep some wins on the board.
Can you imagine the emotional rollercoaster of watching your team lose 14 straight and then flip around and win 7? Like, I don't know what I'd do with myself, eh?
You'd be pumped, but then you're just wondering when it's all going to go wrong again.
Yeah.
You're just waiting for the happiness to end.
Yeah.
Speaking of big streaks ending, last week we talked at length about the Warriors versus Suns rematch and the Suns on their 18-game stretch. That ended that day as the Warriors took care of business in what I think we predicted as being a game where Steph Curry came out and really got his revenge.
Hold on. You and I predicted.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm pretty sure Duff stayed on the Suns bandwagon.
I was right in the Suns.
Yeah. That was a really good game, obviously, for the Warriors, but a really good game to watch. I watched all that game. It's probably the first full game I've watched in a while. We've actually had time to sit back and take it in, and highly entertaining. Steph was on fire. A couple of the other boys, Jordan Poole, played really well. Their squad looks so healthy, and it's crazy to think that Clay's... I know, we say it every week.
Yeah.
Clay's still got to come back, so I'm pumped for them. I seen a little clip actually today on socials of the way that Steve Kerr was... I think you shared it actually. The way that Steve Kerr was sitting down and just sort of like amping Steph up and like giving him some really good compliments. And I think he's got such a great relationship as coach with his players that you're not surprised to see how successful they are.
No. That's a theory I've got with the NBA because you see it a lot. I'm not sure how it is in other sports, but a lot of ex-players go into coaching. But I always find the best ex-player coaches aren't necessarily like the star players. It's role players. Because guys like Steve Kerr, who came off the bench for his career, spark plug, played meaningful minutes. He knows what it takes to really play as a team. But you see, like this year, Dallas have Jason Kidd or Chauncey Billups with Portland. They were always the number one guys there. They don't really understand the team mentality per se as much as those role player guys. They sort of think like, give it to the main dude, let him do everything, because that's how they used to operate.
What are your thoughts on the fact that Steve Kerr was such a good three-point shooter in his career and his team is a very good shooting team? Do you think part of that plays influence, or that's just the change of the way that the league plays now and the way to be effective?
No, I think it's a lot of it, because the Warriors were the impetus for that change.
Yeah.
They were that first team that came out their first championship year and shot a fuck ton of threes. And everyone in the national media, everyone in basketball was like, this isn't going to work. You don't even play like a traditional big. You're shooting way too many threes. But I think Steve Kerr knowing that, and also just having the people to do it as well. Like, if Steve Kerr was coaching, I don't know, the Bulls at that time, wouldn't have worked because you didn't have Steph doing it.
Yeah.
He just really was like, you just lean into your players' strengths. I think a lot more teams should consider that too. Like, it seems obvious, but if you've got someone really good at something, build the team in a way that that person can do that to the best of their ability.
Yeah, definitely. I think use your weapons wisely, right?
And a perfect segue into that is Steph is now, I think he's 10 actually. He's 10 threes away from breaking the all-time record for most threes in the NBA.
That's crazy. How old is Steph?
33, I believe.
He looks like 25.
He looks so young, doesn't he? Like, I was thinking that the other day because they mentioned that in that game, that like he was very close, and I thought, God, how old is Steph? Because it feels like he could play for another 10 years.
I think he could, man, just based on how he plays. He's not dunking, he's not taking big charges.
And you look at Bronze Age,
Yeah.
like Steph's a guy who's dedicated to looking after his body. He seems to be pretty good as far as injury goes. You know, touch wood, knock knock, respectfully, Steph Curry, another 10 years in the league.
But yeah, you'll have a front seat actually. If he's on track, if he makes all of them in one game, he'll break it against the Philly 76ers, against his brother Seth in his home gym at the Chase Center now, which would be awesome to see.
I don't know, I think that's going to be a bad night for Steph Curry, but...
That's the thing, if you're Seth, you're coming out, you're going to fucking tackle him to make sure you're not breaking that all-time record against me.
You kind of want to see him do it, but not against you.
Yeah, well that was like, when the Bulls were shit, it was one of the first games of the season, the Warriors came to town, and that was like peak Warriors. And Clay set the record for most threes in a game. I think he hit like 14 or 15.
Yeah.
And same thing. Part of me's like, this is incredible. Like, I love the Warriors. Clay's awesome. But the other was like, fuck this, man. I want to be watching this. Like, why couldn't there be any other team that I can enjoy?
I got to say, I was in the city today, boys. You guys know, you see my gram. and was just having a little bit of a look around. There was this very vintage looking, I think it was modern vintage, like it's been made to look vintage, Warriors tee. That was fucking cool. And I nearly bought it, and I'm like, can't be doing that.
Couldn't weather the storm
I'm an Eastern
wearing
boy, you know what I mean? So I couldn't be rocking into the pod here and copping the bandwagon.
That's fair. Fair.
The bandwagon slurs from you boys. So I left it on the shelf, and some other lucky buyer will get that.
Another big story that's happening at the moment, one very close to my heart, is the Bulls' Derozan. He won the Player of the Week, I think it was, and in that same day was then announced he's in the COVID protocol and he's out for 10 days.
Not nice. We
managed to eke out the win in Denver without him, which was really surprising. Zach went nuclear, but today we got run over by the Cavs, and we lost Vooch for a while, but Vooch has been really the third, fourth option. Like, great to have him. We could live without him. It's going to take a lot from Zach over these next few weeks to keep the same momentum we had without DeMar.
So how long is he out for? 10 days, right?
So it's 10 days unless he gets 2 negative tests within a 24-hour period before then, which...
Couldn't have happened while we were versing the Hornets, could it?
No. Timing not great for you guys there. A question that's probably not of any interest to any of the listeners or viewers.
Awesome.
Omicron or Delta?
Like, what did he have, or what do I prefer?
What did he have?
I don't know. It's COVID.
Do they have Omicron in America?
I don't know. You'd think so. They got fucking everything else over there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, if it's going to be anywhere. I'll hedge my bets and say Delta.
Yeah, fair.
And then another...
Hey, well, best wishes to DeMar.
Yeah.
He's a listener of the pod. He's a big fan of Blokes and Their Balls, mate. We're thinking of you. Get well soon.
Please
We're
come
also
back.
thinking DeMar for MVP, aren't we?
I am. I've been thinking it for a long time.
Yeah. How much does this hurt his claims? Yeah, a little bit.
I think he was barely hanging on. He was... I wouldn't say he was ever front runner. He was definitely up there for a while. I think now Zach's come into his own a bit more. Now Vooch is back playing. Yeah. It's more done by committee.
Yeah.
But there was probably a fucking month there where DeMar was... I think he's still probably a top 15 guy this year.
Yeah.
Which is an insane jump. Someone was campaigning for him to get most improved player, I saw on Twitter.
That's cool. Well, best wishes to him. Hopefully he gets well soon.
Please. And then just quickly, this actually happened last week. I think it was as we were recording or just afterwards, but Paddy Mills has been awarded the Don Award, which is an Australian sports award, pretty much just acknowledging just a really incredible effort, really incredible human.
Isn't it like, I think the award is in the spirit of like someone who has a nation-inspiring effort on the sporting field, court, whatever.
No better way to describe him.
Yeah, I think just he's the hype man, isn't he? Like, Paddy Mills is the guy that no matter who you are, how good your team is, you want him there.
Yeah.
Like, he's a locker room guy.
Exactly.
Everyone loves a locker room guy. I'm a bit of a locker room guy.
Yeah.
Energy. Energy's important. Morale booster.
I'd go as far to say I think Paddy is probably the greatest Australian basketball ever. Male, sorry. Lauren Jackson is probably better. But
I agree. Greatest male Australian basketball player for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say talented, like obviously Simmons and stuff like that, but what he's done for his country, what he's been able to do in the league as well, like he's been awesome.
We talk about it a lot on this pod. Longevity is something to be really praised and awarded, and he's a guy who I can remember being a kid watching Paddy Mills in the NBA. So the longevity of his career and what he's done, and I think the fact that this is a guy who's played for 2 teams in the NBA now?
3 now. Now he's on Brooklyn, it's 3.
Okay, who was he before Spurs?
He started with Portland. I don't know if he got drafted there or they signed him, but yeah.
And I think for the time that he's played, especially his stint at the Spurs, so much loyalty there, and he went through championship years, really tough years. He's a guy that you can be really proud of as an Aussie NBA fan, and he's almost a guy you're allowed to get a jersey or a vintage Paddy Mills tee, right?
Yeah,
without getting
I've got one at home
boys.
Actually.
Yeah, I like it. You should wear it one.
Yeah, I'll bring it in.
I remember one, you just brought it up then when you remember watching him as a kid. I was never big into basketball as a kid, but that just brought back a memory. When I was 12, I had a Paddy Mills jersey. Vintage
really?
Spurs. Yeah.
Well, that would have been say, how old are you?
I'm 18 now, so it would have been 6 or 7 years ago.
I feel like an old man, eh?
What a grom. Well, I'm 25, so I'm 7 years older than you, and I feel like maybe a little bit before that, I can remember watching him in the Heat final series, the Heat and Spurs final series, and loving Paddy, but also loving Bron and D Wade.
Yeah.
And that battle was a 6 series, so Yeah, definitely brings back memories, and love Paddy Mills, just a guy.
He's one of those guys. The way I always judge if someone is just big in basketball or big generally is like my mum. She's the perfect person of like, she knows the mega stars and stuff like that, but she wouldn't know like, I don't think she wouldn't know Russell Westbrook, but she'd know LeBron.
Yeah.
But Paddy was one, she's always like, yeah, Paddy, like I know him, he played in the NBA, like all this stuff. Like,
yeah, that's cool.
He's got that awareness outside of just basketball and NBA fans.
Actually, for any Paddy and Nets fans, there's a YouTube series you should check out, which is actually on Brooklyn's YouTube channel. It's called Under the Bridge. And episode 2 features, I think it's like they're 20-minute episodes or something. It features a bunch of stuff about Paddy Mills and the kind of guy he is for that team and the energy he brings. So, cool little watch. Something I got around and had a bit of fun watching.
Perfect. From NBA to NBL, keeping it in the basketball sphere. Not loads to talk about. First week of action. The NBL does it. There's only... Each team only gets 1 game, maybe 2 per round. Yep. So there's not a gigantic sample size, but there's a few things that's happened. First, Adelaide 36ers. They shocked everyone. They went undefeated in preseason, 4-0. Won the cup. Mitch McCarron won the MVP award of preseason. Yep. They weren't tipped to be incredible, but the murmurs started like, oh, maybe Adelaide are really good and stuff. They've gone 0-2 in their first week of action. I think pretty sufficiently putting to bed any thoughts of them being a finals team.
Are they a Houston?
Possibly, but I don't know. I think they're going to be very middle ground.
Okay.
Maybe scrape through to like a playoff game, but I can't see it happening.
Thoughts. You're around that league, so...
And then, a little bit of off-court action, but this is one that I think everyone will enjoy. The Sydney Kings have officially and formally accused the Illawarra Hawks of cheating.
Oh, wow.
So, in the game that was meant to be down here in pre-season that got called off because of COVID, the Kings, obviously... So, when a team goes to another place, they get to practice on the home court too. That's how it works.
Yeah.
A bit of an unwritten rule that if the away team's practicing, members of the facility of the home team aren't allowed on the court or anywhere near it. I did a bit of work with the Hawks last year. That was a thing where I'd be in there setting up for a game. They had all the doors closed to the arena. You weren't anywhere near it.
Yeah.
But the Kings have alleged that Dori Kadahi, the Hawks owner, repeatedly went into the actual arena for other things. Okay. So they've lodged a complaint with the league. Kadahi then put out a fucking essay, pretty much, a press release. It was like 2 pages long, saying fucking dot by dot why he didn't think he did it and all this other bullshit. I don't know if it's a coincidence that these teams are also set to play this Saturday.
Yeah.
It smells a little bit like a bit of a manufactured beef.
Yeah.
It felt legit for a while, but...
It was like a Conor McGregor press conference.
Yeah. The more stuff that's happened, the more it's been like, all right, we understand that the game's this weekend. Would this be happening if they were playing in early January or not?
Yeah.
But just an interesting one to see that it's happened.
All right, can you roll into that hot take? Because there's 10 seconds on the play clock.
Let's do it. All right, so my hot take, Lakers are going to right the ship this week. I think they've got 5 games, maybe 6. They're only going to lose 1. LeBron's back and he's looking good again. So I think the Lakers are going to have a real upswing.
LA, baby.
Let's do it. All right.
Right on time.
Bang. Buzzer beater.
How's
That's
that?
what I do.
How's
That's what I do. So next up is some combat sports. Brad is the man that likes getting his face punched in the most here, so he's going to take us through it.
Thankfully, haven't had it punched in all that much lately, which is good news. Because I'm in no scenario or situation.
Let's touch wood again, shall we?
Knock, respectfully. Combat sports. What a week it was. What a month it's been, and what a weekend that we have upcoming. Really excited at the moment. Both boxing and the UFC are really popping off. Boxing has had a real resurgence this year, I feel like the world is getting excited about the sport again, and there's plenty of reasons for it. Obviously, we spoke about last week our Sydney man, George Kambosos, Mr. Ferocious, getting it done against Teofimo Lopez and winning the title. The next question was, well, we had a real convenient following fortnight coming up with this weekend past and this weekend coming, where there's been a bunch of fights in that 135 division through those top 4 contenders to decide who's actually going to take on George Kambosos. Now, the good thing is our man, he's in the lead seat. He gets to make the call, which is really exciting. But the contenders were obviously Tank Davis, Gervonta.
Yep.
He had a really good win against his opponent this week and put his hand up and said he's the guy in the division. Tank loves to talk. He's a product of Money Mayweather, right? So he's preaching the word. He wants that fight against George Kambosos. He wants the belt. Ryan Garcia is always chirping, but Ryan Garcia doesn't fight enough, right? So he's kind of sitting in the shadows. He's lurking for me, and he needs to do a little bit more, and his actions need to speak louder than his words. We obviously had the fight with Devin Haney beating Diaz. Devin Haney's a guy who Kambosos spoke a lot of in the lead up to his Lopez fight, and saying that he's probably a really good matchup for George. I know that post that fight, they had a little chat outside of the ring, and they were on the media there, and Haney said he'd love to come to Australia and challenge for the titles. That's something as Aussie fans we'd love to see. So I think Haney's probably one of those guys too that rightfully deserves this crack. Like, he probably feels like the next in line. But the other guy that's lurking there too is obviously the great Vasily Lomachenko, who was beaten by Teofimo Lopez, however resurged and had a really good ending few rounds to that fight and looked really good in the 11th and 12th. The thing with him is Lomachenko's fighting a guy who Lopez knocked out 2 fights back. I've got his name here. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. His name is Richard Comey, who's also a very respected 135 pounder. It'll be interesting to see. I think Lomachenko will win this weekend. I just don't know if the guy who's been beaten by Teofimo deserves... I think I'd like to see him get another win off the back of this weekend and maybe fight Tank.
That's my thoughts, is you don't want leftovers. Give Haney the shot coming in off this momentum. If Lomachenko gets a few more, then but it seems weird to be like, I beat this guy, next I'm going to fight the guy that he beat. It just feels like you're taking a step down from where you are.
100%. And I know Duff sent it through to our group chat this morning while I was actually listening to it. Kambosos was on Rogan. And I'm only about halfway through the episode because you know Rogan likes to do those fucking avatar-length podcasts. But, you know, he's pretty confident that he could sell out 70 or 80,000 fans in Marvel Arena.
Sure he could.
Or even Melbourne's. I think he said it's like the second biggest Greek population.
I was going to say
world.
that. You think about how many like Aussie Greeks and stuff there are.
Yeah.
And I find they sometimes get a bit like disenfranchised when there's Aussie sports and they're like the sort of like white bread, blonde hair like Aussie sports. So to have like a Greek Aussie guy, they will show up in fucking droves for him.
They will be there, 100%. So either way, I think he's selling out a massive arena in Australia. He deserves all the respect. He seems to have recovered really well. He's coming back to Australia now to start training and getting in camp again and getting ready for the next guy. And he said there won't be any tune-up fight. I'm rolling straight in. So lots of exciting things about boxing. Obviously, then there's 2 other fights that we probably need to address very quickly. Gallen now fighting Darcy Lussick.
Yep.
I think Gallen blows him away. I think he's a different tier, different level.
Has Lussick fought before? Or is
he has. He's had a bunch of fights, but just not against anywhere near the competition that Paul Gallen has.
I think he's only had like 2, maybe even 3 fights.
And he's been sparring and he's been preparing. I think he was almost ready in case this happened. I think he sort of spoke about Gallen a little bit in the weeks past.
He's been chirping about wanting to fight Gallen for a while.
I think Gallen's just fought like against Big Daddy Brown and against Mark Hunt. I think he's fought
combat people.
Exactly. The caliber of opponent has been far better. So... you know, the G train looks like he's going to be pretty well versed to win that fight by knockout, I'd assume. The other fight is obviously massive news at the end of last week. Tommy Fury, I think broken rib.
It just said health issues generally. I don't know if they specified or not.
I think I seen a report saying broken rib and something else with like a bacterial infection in the lungs.
Oh, really? Shit.
And obviously he's then pulled out of that fight against Jake Paul. Jake Paul's been chirping like crazy. He's one guy you don't want to pull out of a fight against because you're just going to get memed then. I think Tommy would have blown him away. Yeah. That's my opinion.
It's a double loss then because you don't get the win and then you don't get it because you didn't even fight.
100%. So. And the news pretty quickly after that was Tyrone Woodley signed the contract and they're going for round 2. I really don't know how that's going to go.
I got to be honest, that's probably the least interesting fight possible. Jake Paul fights and Logan fights. I was the most keen for this Tommy one because he's with an actual boxer. How does he go? The UFC ones were kind of... You put it on because everyone was watching them and stuff, but I didn't really watch the fight. It was just on. And to see him run it back, I really don't give a fuck. Yeah,
me neither. I'm like, you know, Tyrone Woodley's so old news now. He's lost so many fights in a row. You know, respect to the 2 guys for getting in there. I'm fucking definitely not going to be buying that fight.
I think he's doing it more so because everyone came out accusing him, saying that he paid off Tyrone. Yeah. So now he feels like he's got to...
Duff says everyone like that wasn't him pushing that take as well.
3 weeks ago. I'm going to clip in here a couple of weeks ago. But look, from boxing into obviously mixed martial arts, you know, The mixed martial arts world is obviously crazy. UFC at this time of the year is crazy, and we've got a massive week coming up. Probably one of the biggest cards we've had all year, really. So we've got the main event, Oliveira against Poirier. Huge fight. Fucking crazy fight. I really could swing both ways there. I think I know which way I'm swinging, which I'll get my hot takes in a minute. But that's a great fight. Those guys are both so well versed. The thing is, we've seen Chandler, how good Chandler is, right? And yes, he's had 2 losses recently in the UFC. But he knocked down Oliveira. Oliveira withstood that pressure, come back to win that fight and stop that fight.
Yeah.
Now, we've seen the damage that Gaethje done to Chandler. To see Oliveira put this guy away, he's fucking real. He means business.
Yeah.
He's a real deal. He's obviously got that crazy ground game. He can stand and trade. Dustin's very much the same, respected in all areas of the sport. I think this is going to be a crazy main event. Could potentially be the fight of the year. I, for one, see it going the distance.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because I think both guys are so well versed. I don't think they're going to get themselves in a position to be submitted. I think they both know how to cop their shots.
Yeah.
They both, withstood plenty of damage in the past and kept moving for 5 rounds. Really excited for that fight. The other fight, massive card. Nunes is back against Pena.
Just another training session for her.
100%. She runs through her. Nunes, I think, will finish her UFC career undefeated. Jeff Neal, a guy who's got great boxing in the UFC. He's probably one of the better boxers in the UFC. I think he'll do work. The guy he's up against is actually the favourite. I hadn't heard of him. I've heard of his name maybe once or twice in passing, but I think Jeff Neal will get the job done by decision.
Yep.
That's sort of where I sit on that. Here's one that you boys might weigh in on, Cody Garbrandt and Kai Kara France. Obviously a trans-Tasman brother, Kai.
It's a tough one for me. Oh, you're going the same way as me.
I think I'm leaning towards Cody, but Cody's just as unpredictable. I've lost plenty of money on Cody in the past.
Cody's one of those dudes that, some guys or some athletes you support for just the randomest reasons. He's one where, I think probably a year or 2 ago, I spent a week straight watching these GQ tattoo tour videos. All different athletes, celebrities, they just sit down and they fucking go through all their tattoos. He was one where he sat down, he had the full neck piece, explained them all and stuff.
Yeah.
Just the way he did, I was like, you're cool, I like you. Ever since he's fought, every time I see him, I'm like, I just think he's cool. So going against the trans-Tasman thing here, but I like him.
Thoughts, Steph?
Boys, I'm going to stay loyal. I'm going with my ANZ brother.
Yeah, I'd love to see him win. I actually didn't put it in my multi because I'd like to see Kai Kara France get the upset.
And you hate when you put something in your multi that you're backing against what you want.
100%. It doesn't feel right. Not good energy. The last one that I want to talk about in the UFC is Sugar Sean O'Malley. The Sugar Show. He's back against an opponent that's actually 21 wins and 3 losses. Really good record. Better record than O'Malley does. Arguably his toughest fight in the UFC. But I'm on that fucking O'Malley train.
Gotta be.
Sugar Sean puts in volume. He hits people. And I'm really interested to see how this fight goes. Here are my 2 hot takes rolling into the last 20 seconds.
Let's do it.
Play clock here. I've got Oliveira versus Poirier to get the distance. And Lomachenko to get the W. Oh, there's a play clock. That's paying $4.12 if you multi that. A bit of an outsider one. I'm not sure how much this is paying, but you go Dustin via decision, Nunes via KO, Neal via decision, O'Malley KO. That's one if you want to fucking make some good money.
I like it. 2 little things I just want to add on to there. In the UFC, Ty Bam Bam Tuivasa is also on the prelims. I just love watching him fight.
Chewy boy.
He's going to be awesome. And then in boxing quickly, Tyson Fury is being made to defend his belt against Dylan White. The date isn't set for it, but that fight's been made.
Fuck, shit. That's shit. I hate mandatories like that. Dylan White definitely doesn't deserve a title shot right now.
Counterpoint, that attitude wouldn't have got Kambosos the fight either, though.
Correct.
Because if Tyson loses, that's an instant classic.
Yeah.
And if he wins, it's fun to see a guy at the top of his craft just decimate someone.
Yeah, it is. We just
hope it's not a shit decision loss.
We like when things go our way.
We do.
This one didn't go our way.
Did you hear in the Rogan Kambosos thing? So he's now I don't know what it's called, the super champion. So he doesn't have mandatories.
Yes, which is crazy.
Really?
Because apparently one of the belts he's taken off Lopez was defended so many times.
Yeah.
Shit.
He's got it's called a super elite champ or something like that. Where
weird.
it's something. It sounds like just something crazy. You get in a fucking Call of Duty game or something where you get an extra life or something. I don't know, but fuck, crazy week in combat sports. Crazy week to come.
Yeah, next
Looking
week will
forward
be
to
a
wrapping
fun
it up
one.
next week.
We'll jump into some NFL. Duff's going to take us through the highs and lows. I'm just getting
Jed
ready.
knows what's happening.
I'm just getting ready.
So as you all know, boys, I'm a loyal Cards fan
Ish.
for about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And on the weekend, we demolished the Bears.
Yeah.
We had Kyler back.
Can I just stop you for 1 second?
Here we go. Yep.
Do you want to put your condom on before you completely fuck Jed?
Look, we did our best.
I'll go short on the
I don't think we
Cards
did, that's a
because
lie.
I don't want to be rude, but Kyler's back. He had 2 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. I sent about 20 clips on the day they played.
He did.
He
of
did.
just the Cards fucking them. It
Had to
was
fucking put
that
my
simple.
phone on Do Not Disturb.
I was thinking, like, when I was sending it, I was like, I wonder where Jed is. Like, he's being quiet.
You knew I was I'm not jumping in the middle there.
I gotta say though, as you know,
Duff
we
goes, I
have
wonder
our
why he
banter.
didn't jump in the lion cage
Yeah.
or something.
I love that we have our banter about the Cards and the Rams and the Bears, but he looked, for a guy who's been out for a couple of weeks, he looked very good coming back.
Yeah.
Against not, it's probably similar to the Rams this week, against not a great opposition, but he looked good. He hasn't lost his
And he was
start.
playing it smart as well. Like, there was sometimes I saw where he was, like, sliding.
Yeah.
So he would rush, and then before he gets hit, he just slides down.
Yeah.
Just play it safe, keep the injuries away.
Do you
Yeah,
see
definitely.
the most disrespectful thing was the way the Cardinals announced that he was coming back was they built up a phony press release, same as how MJ did when he said I'm back, and they released it before coming to Soldier Field, or I don't know where they played, and just decimating the Bulls.
Yeah.
The Bears, sorry.
Yeah. It was good to see. Also, Mac Jones. I'll move on from the Cards. I can see you're in pain. It's alright.
Yeah.
Move on. Mac Jones, he completed 2 passes from 3 attempts against the Bills, which is just crazy. I think the last time that's happened was like 1960 or something.
So he only threw 3 passes all
Was
game.
that Mac
Yeah.
Jones?
Mac Jones, yeah.
They won
Or
that
was
game.
it Daniel Jones? Was it
Mac
Pats or
Jones.
Jones?
Pats.
Fuck, someone
It
said
was
to
a
me the other
game
day.
one?
Someone said that to me the other day. It was Daniel Jones, and I'm like, fuck.
Fuck, maybe.
I don't know. Let me check
Shit.
that.
But I swear it was the Pats because it was a game where it was like stormy as.
The snow game, yeah.
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 So they
won that too.
Yeah.
That's unreal. Fucking
Mm.
hell.
So the Pats are 7 straight wins, and Mac Jones is only 1 of 4 rookie QBs
Yeah, it was
to
too.
do that. Yeah.
Full credit to you there.
We said it a few weeks ago. The Pats, they're legit.
They are.
What do you say? They're legit.
They're good. Did you see the banter this week? It was one of the guys in the Patriots team, and he goes, I'm really proud of this whole team, except Mac Jones. He did nothing tonight.
Look, all I'm going to say is I still don't have Jones over Fields long term.
Okay.
Is Fields injured? Because why aren't they
Yeah,
playing
I
him?
think he got injured. But to be honest, I'm happy if they don't play him the rest of the year.
Mm.
There's no reason to put him out there at this
Yeah.
point.
Just give him runs where he needs them.
Yeah, exactly. Let's fucking
give him
I
throw
a
saw
snaps here and
Dalton threw like 3 or 4 interceptions.
the king. The king. Fuck.
What else happened? OBJ. His little self-revive.
That
Little
was cool.
tribute to COD.
Respect.
That was mad. I
The
like
COD
how he's
tribute.
like taking the media off Cup.
Yeah.
Like, it's good to see. They obviously thought about that before.
Yeah, we
Going
spoke
for
about
it.
that during the week, didn't we? Like, they've kind of played that perfectly. He gets so much media attention that he's not actually doing anything incredible.
He
I
had
mean, he's
one
kind of
reception.
making those, like, 1 or 2 receptions a game that are kind of, like, a little bit freakish, where he'll jump up and take, like, a one-handed grab, or he'll take something pretty clean. But it's all he really needs to do, because Cup and Jefferson are doing such a great job too, especially Cup. So I like the mix they've got there. I just hope they can get a roll now.
I
Good
think
start.
OBJ seems happy as well.
He
Like,
does.
to be in a winning side. Like,
1 week for 1 week anyway.
yeah, we'll see. What else have we got? We've got next week, obviously. We destroy the Bears
Sorry about that.
last week.
Yeah, like,
This week we go into the Rams. Another easy win.
yeah.
Do you have a timer there? How long have we got?
Oh, I forgot to put it on.
Ah, that's alright.
I'll give you another 5.
Okay, easy.
Do you think?
So, here's how I see the Cards Rams game going.
All right, here we go.
I'm ready.
We've been saying, I've said it a few weeks ago, Stafford, he's done. The last few weeks he's been going, he's okay, like he hasn't been great. He's had some
It's been average.
average, yeah. This week it all comes down. And it comes down hard. He throws under 100 yards for the game. against a Cardinals defense that has been on the rise. We let in 22 points against the Bears, but we have to make Jed feel happy.
Needed something.
Yeah.
Something ease the pain.
So I see Stafford under 100 yards and the Rams under 10 points.
That's interesting.
Can I just say, if Duff's prediction about Stafford comes true in the game against the Cardinals, I will fucking never question you again. That'll be you. I'll worship you like a god.
So I see it going a little bit differently. I see
Shocked.
Kyler Murray getting teabagged by Aaron Donald at least 4 or 5 times in that game. He was on a tear against the Jags. And look,
It was a Jags.
respectfully, they don't have the best O-line, do they? But
Best anything.
I don't know. I just feel like the Rams are back. There's something romantic about the way that they played this week. It was literally a work of art. It was a piece of art.
They beat the Jags.
Hey,
You
a
shouldn't
win's
be
a
that
win.
happy.
A win's a win, bro. The Jags have actually had a win on US soil now. So
They have.
they have, respectfully.
Another
Cardinals
team who got a
have
win
had-
on US soil as well. Detroit got their first win.
The Lions. Who would have thought?
Not me.
No, fuck no.
Jared Goff slept a little bit easier that night, let me tell you. He slept like a fucking baby. But he's
It was
probably
sick
fucking
to see
packing
him,
shit
like-
thinking they expect the second win this week, right?
It was sick to see him running straight over to the coach.
Yeah.
Like the pure emotion. That was cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And I think, you know, the coach came out this week and I think he was like really thankful in that press conference to the fans.
Yeah.
So it's hard when you support a team that's really struggling, like the Detroit Lions have struggled this year with a bunch of close wins and then a bunch of fucking blowouts too, I think. To see them get one, you never want to see a team go a whole season without a win unless it's the Cardinals.
The thing is, Detroit did that too, like 10 years ago. Like this would have been their second 0-win season this fucking century. Like I don't know how you be a consistent fan of that
Yeah,
when
it's
the
hard.
highs are whatever Goff was doing in Detroit, not that high, and the lows are that fucking depressing.
Yeah, it's very hard. Actually, send us in. It'd be interesting. We might put it as a question on the Spotify platform this week. You can click in and have a look at the question. Have you ever supported a team that's had like 5+ bad losing seasons?
Like
And-
real bad, not
yeah.
like 2 or 3 wins. Like,
Yeah, like bad.
Mm.
And have you then stayed loyal or jumped ship?
Trying to think how many shit years the Bulls had in that rebuild. It might be just short, but like post Jimmy trade pre this year was a low place in my
Rough.
sports fandom.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, was that the NFL this week?
I've got another question for the listeners,
Okay.
actually. Jed and I had a little argument about this. So while I was giving him shit about the Cardinals win for the last week, every day, non-stop,
24/7.
he sent a picture of the Bulls beating the Hornets. And my argument was, well, the NBA's on every day. They play like 60+ games a year. NFL, 17 weeks. NFL is more important. A win in the NFL. What do you think?
Maybe a little bit more precious.
I'd argue that the Bulls meant more because those were both teams fighting for something, though. Where the Bears have just... I don't know what they're doing, but
That
do you know
is
what I mean?
also true.
They win this game, they're still not going to make the playoffs. Where the
Okay.
Bulls versus Charlotte, that could be a potential playoff match. That could be like a seeding thing, where if we have the same record or whatever, we have the series over you, we get the higher seed.
And look, and to be fair, the Sixers have beaten both teams this year, so
Fuck.
let's just move on. Let's move on to your hot take.
I have 2. So I have one with the Cards, obviously. Cards winning
Okay.
20+ over the Rams. That's not really a hot take, though. That's like...
expected.
Yeah, it's expected.
Okay.
So I've got another one. I have Justin Herbert. That's the
Yep.
name, right? Chargers QB.
Chargers QB.
Jay Herbo.
Yeah, 350+ yards,
Fuck.
passing, and 2 touchdowns.
You know what you call that? Herbie fully loaded. You like that?
No.
You like that?
Absolutely not.
Watch that movie. Great movie.
That's it for NFL for me.
Nice.
I like it. Hey, and right on cue because that play clock's about to go off in 3 seconds.
I just want to say, between the UFC next week and the Rams cards being done, next week has the potential to be our most electric episode yet.
It does. There's going to be some fucking energy coming into the studio next week, one way or another.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone's going to be flat and someone's going to be fucking charged.
It's going to be awesome.
You're telling the first 5 minutes of the episode.
Yeah. You'll just know off the back of my intro
Yep.
whether
Yeah.
I'm the guy who done well or not.
Next week, I'll be like, this is Blokes and Their Balls. Jed, go. That's it. That's
Yeah,
all.
hey guys, we're here for episode 10.
So like we said, we changed up the play of the episode a little bit. What we're going to do too is, instead of trying to split it up into a million little sports, especially when those sports might be in their off season, we're just going to run a segment called Off Season, where anything happening outside like the playing world we can discuss. Mostly NRL for the moment, but this will come into play a lot more, I'm sure, during our winter when the American leagues are done.
Definitely.
Few big things happening in the NRL. First, the Dolphins bag Ray Stone.
Yeah. They need some signings, and I think they're starting to get that little bit of momentum now. I noticed the Dolphins are also, I believe, speaking of Josh Kerr, front rower from the Dragons. Because
he's from Redcliffe, so...
Yes, and there was a story about that this week, probably written by, your crew at Sporting News.
I was at the presser. No.
Yeah.
No big deal. Right?
No big deal. How's this, right? So they're starting to collect a few names. The thing they haven't really collected yet is some solid backs. Really, it's been a lot of talk with forwards, and I think they need to probably get that. They still need that marquee signing. Like, Felice Kafusi is a great signing, but you're not going to build a team around a back rower. So they need that 1-6-7. I think Ray Stone, is Ray Stone a 9 or a 13?
I think he's a lock. He's a pretty stocky dude.
Stocky dude. So they probably need a 1-6-7 or a 9 just to build the team around. So I don't know who's available that 2023 season. A guy they should probably go after is Semi Verrills. Like, he's not a marquee signing, but he's a great 9.
Well.
Queenslander, he's quick, he's going to be available. Parramatta are looking at him as well. So he's a guy that potentially you go for. I don't know who they look at for that 1, 6 or 7 spot. Maybe they've got to look to England.
Potentially.
Sure, there's enough talent here to be able to find like one big 6, and then they can possibly like get Sammy Verrills 9, because they don't want to splurge all their money in like their first year and then risk.
What's Cameron Munster's contract situation look like?
I'd say it's probably a bit too big for him. Like, off the top of my head, I don't think that'd be the sort of money they'd be looking at.
Yeah, fair. That's the hard thing about building a team. You've got to be so smart. Like, you don't have they've got a good system up there junior-wise, so maybe they can bring a couple of guys through. Maybe there's already a few guys in those positions they've got their eye on. They're looking at a 5-year build.
Building a new team too, if you're looking at those big guys, you got to think about it from their point of view too. Like, if you're a star in the league, you're right in your prime, you want to be sort of doing your best. Is a brand new team going to be good enough to support you? Because you don't want to lock yourself into a team that's going to spend 3 years wading through the wilderness trying to find its feet.
You know what you need? You need a guy who's just come off a couple of prems.
Yeah.
Like, they've got the gold and silverware. God, went a bit
Do they, Batman?
there, didn't I? They've got the gold and silverware, and it's kind of now, it's less about just winning championships as much as everyone wants to do that, and about that next challenge. Or that guy who's struggled at a team for so many years. And like, Parramatta's one of those teams that they've been on the verge of it for so long. Just will they do it? I don't know. So we'll see. Look, and they've got a super coach, Wayne Bennett, so he'll attract talent.
That's the difference too, is you've got the best coach ever doing it.
Yeah,
that changes the dynamic.
They need a guy like me who can play sort of anything.
I'd give you $100 to go fucking audition for the Dolphins. We could film it. That'll be our feature content.
What movie that'll be like? Is it Invincible? Mark Wahlberg, where he tries out for the Philadelphia Eagles. Remember that movie?
Don't know if I've seen it.
Good movie, based on a true story. One of the great sporting movies, actually. Really good.
I have to check it out.
Check it out. What else is happening? Kevin Aguilar went to the Roosters.
Just Uncle Nick.
The rich get richer.
How good's Uncle Nick? I'm interested with this signing though, because obviously Kev's had 2 good seasons in the Super League. I think he's the captain of Fiji, their international side. The thing with Kev though is he's coming into a team that's got some really good outside backs. Like, I'm thinking he's going to be contested with, like, we signed Momirovski as well. We've got Joseph Suwali there. I think Momirovski and Manu are the centres this year, and I don't even mind Adam Keyrain at centre either. Like, he's another guy that he kicks so well and he played so good at centre. He's not a traditional centre, but fuck, he was very good there this year. I think he's going to have some competition just to make the side. Like, I think, even though he is a good calibre player, like, Joseph Suwali was very good in the games that he played last year. guy's only 18.
Yeah.
He's only going to get better. I think him being there, I think either way it's really healthy because it puts pressure on. And outside back, with the pace of the game now and how much more they have to get involved, there's a lot of injuries in those positions this season.
Thinking.
Not just for us, across the board.
I think he's more of like a backup signing.
Yeah.
Like after the season they had this year, with all the injuries, they want people there that they can just slot in, that know their role, that have experience.
You know, the Morris boys retired, couple of retirements in the outside backs for us. Matt Ikavalu moved on. So I think they're just restocking.
Where did he go? He was a freak.
I think he's gone overseas. I think. Because he definitely didn't go to a marquee team.
Yeah. That's what
he either went overseas or he went somewhere to a shitty side in the NRL. But, yeah, would suck to be one of those. Could be a Roosters fan.
I love hearing about those guys. The guys that are like, they were like good role players in whatever league they were in the top league. But then they go overseas and you know they're just going to dominate. You see it with a lot of NBA dudes that go to China, that sort of thing. I imagine you see it in league all the time with fringe NRL guys going to Europe and just fucking shit up for a few years. Yeah,
and the game in Europe is so different. Very high scoring.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of like the NRL has been this last year with the rule changes. Really high scoring defensively. It's a different standard. And that's what a lot of the guys from England struggle with over here. The defence side of the game and the pace of the game is different.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's some guys who do really well. Like, Canberra's been really good at signing English players. They always have success.
I just had a thought. Gareth Widdett for Redcliffe. Because I know he's back in Australia now.
That's a great signing.
And
has played for Wayne Bennett before. Because I know the Roosters were talking to him at some point last season when we had a bunch of injuries. He'd be a great... That's actually a really good point, Duff. I'll give you credit there where it's due. He could be a great signing at 6 for them, and I think you'd...
Even
with his experience,
he'd be cheap. He'd be knows everything. Worked with Wayne.
100%. I like it. Good call.
And then just quickly, the NRL has had its first player cut due to anti-vax stance, John Asiata.
Yeah,
I'm surprised it took this long for the NRL, man. NBL had him, AFL had a few, but I don't know. Don't take this the wrong way, but you'd think out of all the pro athletes, NRL ones would be the ones that are going to be
they're usually
against it.
They're usually the most pressed in the media.
Yeah.
And so it's crazy that we haven't had a story like this come out just yet. This guy's only a young guy. I think you got to give him respect for making his own decision. But then obviously we just live in a world now where this is the way the world's going. Like every other sporting league has had to put up with it and play with it. You know, we've been very critical of guys like Kyrie who, you know, aren't doing it. But yeah, what do you do? Like it's a kind of the situation. He knows the rules. I guess he hasn't. I don't know if he's spoken up all that much about it. I think he's just got to move on and deal with the consequence of not doing what he's needed to do.
I disagree with that. You need to give him respect. I think there's certain things I can understand having difference of opinion on. Something like this where it's not about you.
I don't mean respect. I think everyone should get vaccinated. I mean more so like fair play for like not just taking coin and sticking. I don't know. I feel like it'd be hard. That'd be a hard decision to make as a young dude.
Yeah. No, I get what you mean, but
yeah, I don't know. Maybe they think they can hold on a little bit longer. But the question is, right, and this is the thing I'm interested in. Obviously, soon. I don't know how this is going to work for sport, but soon the vaccine mandate changes, where like we're all vaccinated, so we've been out doing our thing,
making out with each other.
Yeah, just hooking up and that. Like fuck.
Blocking balls after dark.
Yeah. What's going to change once everyone is sort of open and able to do their thing or vaccinated? Is that going to change sport, or what's the stance there? Do you guys know?
I'm not sure. I'm always going to do this, but like relating it back to the NBA, that was the hope of a lot of people, was vaccine mandates would change because that's the problem over there, is all the cities and all the states are different. So that's guys like Kyrie. He could be playing away games but couldn't play home games because you need to be vaxxed to do it in New York.
Yeah.
I think a lot of companies will maintain them. I think that's what's going to happen. Is a lot of workplaces are still going to be like, you don't need it in the population, but we want all our workers to have it.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing. That'll be the workaround. Is I can see it staying because they'll say like, especially if you're going to make all your front office stuff and all the arena venue stuff be vaccinated. It always sort of seemed a bit bullshit that you weren't making the players be.
Yeah.
So I think that might be what happens.
Yeah. Well, he's copped a loss of dollars there and copped an opportunity to play rugby league. So I guess he's got to suffer the consequences now. But
Yep.
it'll be interesting to see how that goes down.
And then to wrap up, we're keeping this the same. We know you guys love it. It puts you to bed at night. It's the real relaxing end note of the show, the fit of the week. Now, we realised, our bad, podcasts are a largely audio medium. So if you're listening to it, you don't know what the fit of the week looks like. And we've been a bit slack of just listing some names. You might not know what they're wearing.
Yeah.
So we're going to make a conscious effort to describe what they're wearing. We'll put a photo of it if you're watching on YouTube. We'll also chuck it up on our Instagram so you can have a look at it. Runaway favourite for me this week was Kevin Durant. Rocked up wearing a grey hoodie with a nice black jacket over it, had a pink beanie on, some khakis, and then some UNC powder blue white. I think they're Dunks or Jordan 1 lows.
They're fucking clean, aren't they? I'm just having a look at them now.
KD wears a lot of like tech wear, a lot of like sweatsuits, but when he does wear clothes that aren't that, he does it really well.
Hold on. Are you noticing the picture
The
of
little
his bag?
face.
The little face on his bag too?
I saw it on Jed Centre and I was like, what is that?
He's donning 3 bags right now.
He is.
Man's got luggage. I guess fucking you'd only fit one pair of his shoes in a bag, hey?
Yeah.
He's not the kind of guy you'd suspect to be like... I feel like KD's personality, a little bit geeky and quirky, right? He's kind of not the guy you'd expect to come out as a fit of the week contender, but respectfully,
That's
man's
why it
doing
shocked
work.
me. It's one of those
It
ones.
looks like a bit of a Paddy Mills inspired fit.
I can't see Paddy wearing that at all.
I don't know.
I
What
reckon
Paddy
you can
wears.
pull off some khakis.
I pull off khakis.
I don't pull off khakis.
No?
No.
I've got around khakis this year.
I go on and off them. I've got a pair at home. I'll wear them for a month, then I won't look at them for a month. You know, like
Yeah. But that's fashion, isn't it?
yeah, everything I do is fashion.
That's fashion. So, who's got the fit of the week this week on the pod? Not Duff.
Don't look at me.
Not Duff.
Not Duff. What do you reckon, Duff? Who's got it this week?
I'm going to go with Jed.
Oh,
The Birkenstocks.
the Burks pull through.
The Burks. Wow.
They were either
They
going
were
to win
a
it
lot-
for him or lose it for him, and they've come through.
They were a last minute choice. I had
How
a
good's
few pair of
Burks and
shoes.
socks? Stocks and socks.
So comfy.
I was actually looking for a pair of Burks today. I was
Find it?
looking for like a tan or like khaki colour
Nice.
pair of Burks, you know, just to be able to class it up with a pair of linen pants.
Yeah.
Kid, you reckon you could get into Peppies?
With
Or
Burks.
somewhere like that with Burks on? If you're wearing like pretty classy up top?
I know
Nah.
in Sydney they're quite strict on
Nah.
footwear.
Yeah.
Seckies are a power trip. I can't see them bending the rules unless you know them.
Yeah, true.
But we've gotten a bit off
True.
topic. That's our
Yeah.
fit of the week is Kevin Durant, surprising all of us. That's the first of our new condensed, hopefully much better episodes. Let us know if you like it. Let us know if it was too short and you want us to go back. Let us know if you want us to cut it down more. We'll go 25. We'll just fucking speed run it. We'll just no.
That was a
pauses.
short, sharp episode, boys. Like we went sub 1 hour there.
I think we covered everything too, so pretty happy about it.
Definitely. 52
Wow, that was
minutes on the
good.
clock. Jesus.
That's it.
Record time for the boys. So I guess we'll wrap it up then. Any last words?
No, not really. Just let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't. We do it for you guys. So if you
Yeah.
guys have stuff, let us know. We're not doing it just for shits and gigs.
Some people like it long, some people like it short. Let us know what your thoughts are.
Yeah. I guess that relates to a few areas of life. I'm hoping people like it short, if you know what I'm saying.
Me too. Us blokes and the boys after dark for sure.
Yeah.
Fucking great way to finish today's pod. Firstly, I want to say thank you so much if you subscribe, follow, listen, or watch the show. It means the world to us. It literally takes 2 seconds to subscribe on either Apple Podcasts or follow on Spotify.
Oh, also quickly, I'll jump in here.
Yeah.
We didn't cover it last week. I can't remember when it happened, but Spotify Wrapped released. A bunch of people had your podcast. So in the wider universe, our podcast a little bit.
Yeah.
So shout out to everyone that's been listening
Amen
really
to
loyally.
that. Amen to that. It means the world to us, and really, that's the way this grows. You continue to subscribe, follow, it pushes it into the algorithm for new people to discover it on the browse pages, and just share it around. Jump on YouTube. We put this full audio up. We put the full audio and visual up on YouTube if you haven't watched the show yet before. And I guess we're not the best looking blokes, but we put in an effort.
We do.
So get around it. Thank you so much. Tune in to next week's episode of the show. Give us some feedback on today and get around our socials.
Respectfully.